It's time for another Dice Tower review with Z Garcia.
Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at a small tile laying game called Mini Park. Mini Park here is a game in which all the players are going to be building a single park together, scoring as they are adding tiles to that park, but also looking out for special scoring opportunities, all based around timing, when you choose to take that scoring opportunity, and then you'll keep it until the end of the game. Do it too early, the other players are going to avoid helping that scoring happen. Do it too late, and well, somebody else might have taken it already. Let me give you a look at how this works. We'll come on back after that, and I'll tell you what I think of this tile laying game. So here's all the stuff that comes with the game. The objective of the game is to get the most points at the end of the game, which is these here, by building up the little park and grabbing some scoring opportunities as well. You're going to score those at the end of the game, but you'll also get some points while you're building the park throughout the game. So we're going to just push these aside for now, and I'll tell you about the different kinds of tiles that you're going to find in the stack of tiles here that the players are going to be using to build the park. So you have two main different kinds. You have these, which are nature tiles, and then these feature tiles. So the nature is the water and the forest there. And then for the other ones, which all have a road, you have park benches, you have bushes there, and you have these playgrounds. All right. So you are going to shuffle all the stacks up, and you are going to place one in the center of the table to begin the playing area, like so. And then you flip over two that players can draw from. On your turn, you are going to do one of two things. You are going to either add a tile to the park that is forming in the center of the table, and you can always choose one of these two, or you can choose to draw blindly from the top of the stack. Or your second option is you can take one of these scoring opportunities, keep it until the end of the game, and then score for it, okay? So, adding to the board, you are going to grab a tile, you are going to add to it, and you are going to score some victory points. The two different kinds of tiles score differently. These nature tiles, you are going to get 1 point for every different feature that it touches. And the features are all the different things I already mentioned, like bushes, benches, the water, the little lake area, forested area. And so if this is already there, I add this to it. I am going to score 2 victory points, one for the lake, one for the bushes. The other scoring is triggered by the features. And so let's say I already have this here. This has already been built. And this is the tile I add. Then I am going to score 1 point for every road I touch and 1 point for every feature. So in this case, just 2. But if this was already here, when I play this one, then that's 3 points. One for matching up the road and those two. And the roads in this game do have to match. You may not play something like this. You cannot end the road abutting something else that isn't a road. So that's how the placement rules go. And again, after you place, you normally are going to grab some points. Usually between 1 and 3 victory points for every placement. So as this is building up, that player is going to play. They get 1 point, and we flip over a new one for the next player. That player is going to play. They could play there. That gets them 1 point for the road connection, and they reveal a new one. This player is going to play. They get 2 points, one for touching the lake, one for touching bushes. So they get 2 points there, and so on. This continues to build. Let's turn our attention now to the other scoring condition here, the goals, these objectives that you are drafting, you're grabbing them, and then scoring at the end of the game. Now, I will mention these come in with two different sides, two different kinds of scoring. The idea being there's an advanced side, which is these, and then a simplified side on the reverse of the tile. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of these, just a couple of them. I don't want to go over every single one of them, and tell you about these tiles as well. These are going to be randomly matched up to the other tiles like that, so that whenever on your turn you choose to take one of these goals, you are going to get the little token. You'll put that out somewhere, like there, somewhere that matches where it can be placed, and then you get both of these tiles. Now here's what this one means, and this means in this case, the fish, the little fish, you have to put that on one of the water tiles, so I'll put it right there. And you are going to, at the end of the game, I would score as many fish symbols as there are in that grouping times the number of tiles in that grouping. So in this case, 3 times 2, that is 6 points for that. The other tiles, all of these companion tiles, are going to let you score half of a different minion here, a different little token, okay? And so in this case, I take this, and whoever ends up with the cat, whatever score they get, I'm going to get half of that score. So they'll get their full score, I score half of that. And that's the idea. So whenever you are drafting one of these, you are not just looking at what kind of score can I get with this, but hey, maybe the cyclist down here is getting a really good score. So maybe I want to take this combination because I'll get half of that score as well. So that's how that works. So that's the fish for you. The cyclist, for example, is going to score the length of the path. If it's really, really long, then the score gets even better. You have the kid here who is going to score a whole area divided by roads, those areas. They are going to score all of the parks, all of the, the playgrounds that are in that area, and so on and so on. So, to play the simplified version, you would remove these, and you would flip these over to the other side, and the scoring is much easier in this case. For example, the fish. When you play the fish, you ignore how many fish symbols are there, and you simply score 2 points per tile. And they're all like that. The kid, you put him on a playground, 2 points per tile that has a playground along that road. The cat, 2 points per bushes that are along that road. Everything's going to be along a road or a grouping of tiles, the fish and the bird there. So much simpler on this face. Scores are also much less swingy, let's say, on that side. Besides all of this, you also have some tiles that you, again, may or may not use that are special tiles. And you are going to reveal as many of these as there are players. The first player to take a combination here, so let's say I take the birds and I put it out, you are going to take one of the tiles that's been revealed. So let's say it's, those 3. As soon as you take your first one of these, you are going to take one of these tiles and add it to the board. And in fact, sometimes they have a little hammer on them, which means you can cover up a tile with this, as long as the road placement is still legal. So not that, but I could do even something like this. I could replace that with this one, cover it up. So there you go, that's how those work. So, one final thing I do want to mention is that these you cannot just take willy-nilly. You cannot take as many of them as you want to. Depending on the number of players, you'll be able to take 1 or 2. That's it. If you play with 4 people, for example, everybody can take just 1. If you play with 3 or 2, you could each take more than that. That should give you a pretty good idea of how it works. So you play tiles, you grab tokens, or you grab one of these combinations, put out the little wooden meeple, finish until, you keep going until all the tiles are gone and have been built. You wrap up. You score these points added to what you've already grabbed throughout the game. Highest score is the winner of Mini Park. So there you have it. That is Mini Park. For the most part, a pretty simple and straightforward little tile laying game. Let's take a look at some talking points here. Let's start with thematic ties. I think the game has a very nice theme, and I think all the little characters that you are putting out there are thematically linked to how they score and where they go. So that's pretty nice. I like the theme in this one. The aesthetics of the game are pretty good. I like all the different little wooden meeples. They're nice and chunky, well built. Everything is fairly clear. They do use different layouts for the playgrounds and the benches, especially the playground. So it's a little tricky maybe the first time to figure out, wait, is that a playground? As long as you remember, though, that it's always a playground or a bench or the shrubbery, then you'll be good. So the aesthetics are pretty nice here. The quality of the components pretty nice as well. Replayability is okay, I think. They do give you the extra, ways of scoring. So I think that's going to kick it up a little bit. And I think if you play, the first 1 time or 2 with the basic scoring, you are going to be ready to move on to the advanced scoring. It's that one's flat after a few plays, it seems to me. With the extra scoring, I think you'll be able to get a decent amount of play out of this. But it is a pretty small game, ultimately. The board, the park, does not, gives you some choices, but it's not so expansive that you can truly get infinite replayability out of it, Game length is good. The game takes about 20 minutes or so that is spot on, very nice. Ease of play, which is things like fiddliness, how easy is it to teach, to figure out. This one I think is fine. I think with the basic scoring, it's a lot simpler. Everything scores more or less the same way. With the advanced scoring, things oftentimes score in considerably different ways. Like the fish is pretty straightforward, but like the bird, for example, the way that works is at the end of the game, you take the bird figure and you can fly 7 spaces in any direction. You just fly 7 spaces, and for every piece of forest you went over, you're going to get some victory points. That's the only one that has that scoring. It's very thematic, I'll give them that. But it's going to take a few explanations, I think, to let everyone know this one scores completely different from this one, completely different from this one, all those, characters, the different little meeples. So it's going to take a few learning games, perhaps, to really have it streamlined. But, and I don't know, that's the other thing, if the strategy matches how much involvement goes into learning those little things. I'm not sure. I think so, but I'm not convinced entirely, okay? For the most part, though, ease of play is pretty good. And then lastly, tactics and strategy and the luck. There's certainly luck. You're flipping tiles over. You do have 2 to pick from, but sometimes you won't want either one of those, and you have to flip over. But the strategy is there. The idea of, okay, I'm going to try to grow this and then take that character, even though I am making it juicier to other people. Or do you grab something early again and hope that you can just build up your own feature, whatever you're scoring, enough throughout the game to make it worthwhile? If you play with the advanced rules, that's doubly interesting. I really like this. If you see someone grab something that you know is going to score them a bunch of points, then grab the other thing that gives you half that many points, right? Clever, interesting. There is some interaction there between the players. If I see you're going to do very well, I'm going to grab, some of those points you're taking. I don't take them from you, but I'll score some as well. So that's it. This is a clever game. It's, for me though, my main issue, it's not a big deal. I'm not saying I dislike the game. I certainly enjoy the game, but my main concern is that it's somewhere, it's too thinky and there's too many different ways to score for it to replace, say, a Carcassonne. It's not as clean as Carcassonne, but it's also not as strategic as some of the city building games that are very popular, like Suburbia. It's not that involved either. So I'm worried it's going to just sort of, live in limbo somewhere between those two. I would say Carcassonne is a stronger, cleaner design, much more approachable. This one is both shorter, but thinkier in many ways, especially with the end game scoring. The rest of it is not as much. The other thing that's a little funky is that in-game scoring. I always have to explain that a bunch of times because the road tiles score differently from the nature tiles. Just barely though, right? Like just enough to be kind of an annoying rule I have to keep explaining. No, you don't score for this one because those two are actually both park benches, and there you don't score for each. They just have to be different. All these things. And so, again, I don't dislike the game, but I'm not sure how often I'm going to choose this over a more straightforward tile laying game or a thinkier one. And that's my main concern. Having said all that, if you're a huge fan of tile laying games, if you enjoy city building games, if the overview looked good to you, I would recommend this game. Nothing wrong with it. It's interesting, clever. They give you different ways of scoring so you can ramp it up if you're playing with your gamer friends. You can simplify it a little bit to play with the, family or the non-gamers. So this is a clever one. Look into it. I'm not going to say it's an automatic buy, okay? But I would say look into it, give it a shot, see how it feels to you, and maybe it'll be one that you'll really enjoy. That is Mini Park.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.